Well, hello and welcome to a very cold Brasenose 2 on the Linear Fisheries Complex. Down here doing a little in-session piece. This is actually one of my favourite venues on the complex. But I'm starting with a few zigs. Could be a 30, could be an Oxfordshire 30-pounder. Well, there we go. Have a look at that one. That is a proper old dumpy B2 mirror. Oh, double take. Well, there it is, a classic B2 carp taken on that 4.5, 5 foot zig. On top of my EXO, there's probably about 30 odd zigs I have chopped and changed. I don't even know what I'm doing. I've just got the carpet so smug. Bush. Well, hello and welcome to a very cold Brasenose 2 on the Linear Fisheries Complex. Down here doing a little in-session piece. This is actually one of my favourite venues on the complex. But I'm starting with a few zigs. I did get here yesterday and catch on them. So I'm going to get this one out there, hopefully get a few more, but we're going to be chopping and changing tactics throughout this session to hopefully get a few more fish on the bank. So without further ado, I'm going to get this zig out there, a couple more and get the kettle on. Just reposition that rod in a really lightly looking area, bit more to where I think the fish are. Usually any indication on zigs with the tight lines and big leads means that there's a fish on, but that could have just been something else on the line. But I'm hopeful of that left-hander going, because it is, as I said, in a really lightly looking area. So we're just going to play around with a few depths and colours. Hopefully it won't be too long before we've got one in the net. So as I mentioned, we are down on B2. Now I arrived yesterday before the cameras, and as the cameras weren't here, I wanted to just feel my way in. I didn't want to go putting loads of bait out and for you guys not to see it. So I started off with the zigs. That is something I absolutely love to do when I'm arriving at Linear in general on all the lakes. Feel my way into the session and not apply loads of bait. Feel it in with little solid bags and zigs, and that's what I started with, and caught a few carp. We managed to land 5 carp, including a really nice ghosty, a real rare one for B2. So that's what I've started with this morning again when Adam's turned up. I am wanting to do a bit of bait fishing, as that can lead to a nice hit of fish. So as the day progresses, I'm sure we'll show you what bait I'll be using and how to apply it onto the right spot. And hopefully we can get a few fish on multiple different tactics throughout this session. Well, we've literally just done that piece to camera talking about any indication on the bobbin's usually a bite, sat next to it, and then it's just dropped back to the floor. And I have just seen the first 2 carp since I've been here over this rod. So that's a good sign. Maybe it's just as that daylight's progressing is the bite time. Since having the privilege of using these EX cast reels for a little while now, I do absolutely love them, and with these Elevate 13-foot rods, I just love the sensitivity on the clutch, because using light lines and big leads, I'm not necessarily setting up to drop the lead at the moment. It just gives me so much control, and it's what you want when you're using zigs. Well, it's just coming into the edge now, and I know that because I can see my leader not coming through the rings, and that's the most important time to take your time and be careful with it, because there's less stretch as soon as that braided shock leader comes onto the line. So just a quick adjustment with that, with the spool, loosen off, and we'll get her in the net. First one for the cameras, and that is a 20-pound Scaly. So we're going to get the rod straight back out. Rule number 1 for me, because I've just seen the first 2 fish show since I've been here, less than 24 hours. So yeah, unhook this one, rod back out, and then we'll take a look at it. Well, that's that rod back out. Now, whilst I'm down here, I just wanted to have a quick talk about bite indication and with specifics to zig fishing. Now, you see that I've got a really tight line there. I've got a 5-ounce lead on out there at around just over 100 yards range, and I've really cranked that spool up so that the line is really tight. Now, with using this 15-pound 030 camo main line, I can afford to have that really tight at that range, because any of the stretch in that main line will mean that the lead's not moving. But with that really tight line, the extra weight on our new revolve bobbins and the big body, any indication out there is going to give me a really good positive bite indication with a drop back. And if it runs away, obviously you're going to get a really good indication going away. So that is how I set up for my indication for when zig fishing. As I mentioned in that last clip, I'd seen a couple of fish show. I've just seen another 2, and they seem to be pushing more right. And as we're getting closer to that time that I was here yesterday and caught them, I feel like it's getting more fishy, should we say. So working off what I'm seeing, winding this one in and put it as close to where I've seen them fish show. And it just puts every little chance or everything in my favour. So put this where I've just seen that fish, and hopefully it might result in a fish. Oh, there's another one. Right, just seen one. Get this, right in the rings. Right on it, that one. I don't even know what I'd do. I've just got the carp excitement. Come on, carp. Bush. Well, there it is, a classic B2 carp taken on that 4.5, 5 foot zig out in the pond. It's absolutely freezing. This fish is like an ice block, but just goes to show if you get the tactics right, you can be rewarded. Probably your average stamp for B2, a mid-20, and yeah, good to get one for the cameras this morning. And we'll keep ticking away, and hopefully there's a few more. But what a result. Well, my hands are freezing after that one, so I'm gonna get that kettle on, get these ice cold hands warmed up. Well, we've given it a really good go on the zigs today, and the weather just hasn't been in our favour compared to yesterday. So I've just put a bit of bait out, as you've seen, and I'm just changing all 3 onto the deck now. Got a pop-up and a couple of balls of maggots out there, and hopefully that can produce a bite throughout the night. But just done the 2nd rod, time to get the 3rd one out there. Well, good morning, and it was a slow night last night. Tried a little bit of bait, as you saw. Had 2 rods on that. Well, I had 3 rods on that, but a little into dark. After we'd had dinner, I decided to wind the pop-up in and put the zig back out. Now, that didn't result in any action last night, no fish at all, but I've just been discussing with Adam what my next plan of attack is. Now, I've still got 2 rods on that baited area. I am confident that that could do a bite throughout the day, but I've just tied up a little short maggot zig, and I'm going to put that out over the spot, put a little bit of bait out and see if that can't draw a bite. and then I'm just going to keep one on the baited spot and rove one zig about and see if we can't pick up anything like that. There's definitely a few fish about, so hopefully we can work at it and get another one on the bank. Well, sorry for the lack of updates today. We've had our product photographer down and we've been doing some photos for our yet to be released Avid products coming out later this year. But whilst we've been doing that, the fish have been very, very quiet. I have been chopping and changing every depth and colour, probably 3 times over, but yet to actually get a bite on them today. I am going to change it up a little bit this afternoon. I'm going to try flinging out some single bright ones. But before we do that, I will show you the rig and how I set all that up. But for now, we're going to keep flicking the zigs about, get these photos done, and then we'll look at them rigs in a little bit. Well, underneath my woolly hat, there's actually no hair left on my head because I've pulled it all out today. There's a little, on top of my exo, there's probably about 30 odd zigs I have chopped and changed so much. And they've just not been having it. But we never give up, probably close to. And just had a little drop back on the left-hander. And 0 to hero, just like that. It's not in the net yet, but a bit of relief. Got our product photographer here today doing some photos of some new products that we've got coming out soon, and he's been on at me all day about where's this 40-pounder, Steve, where's this 40-pounder, Steve. There's a chance this could be one. I don't think it's massive, but when it's been quiet for far too long for B2 standards, it is really nice to get a bend in the rod, and he's plodding a little bit. The added pressure I've had today, we've got the last product to do is a sling, and you can't do a sling without a fish. Dumpy monkey, could be a 30, could be an Oxfordshire 30-pounder. Gosh, in she goes. That is a little chunky wide boy, that one. Well, that is probably a 30-pounder, I'm going to say. It's a proper short and dumpy one, but he's proper thick across the back. And we'll take that. I'm guessing that is going to be a 30. So we'll get it unhooked, measure that zig, change them all to that depth, get them out in the zone. Hopefully there's a couple more before dark. Might be pushing it, but I'm glad we managed to get this one in the net. We got a carp, we got a carp. Well, there we go. Have a look at that one. That is a proper old dumpy B2 mirror. Low 30, and yeah, give a really good little scrap after pulling my hair out all day, chopping and changing. But the moral of this story is never give up. Keep pushing on, chopping and changing. Have confidence in what you're doing, and you can be resulted. Really, really happy with this one. I'm going to get all 3 rods out there in that zone, and hopefully we can pluck another 1 or 2. The lake has really slowed up since I first got here, but we'll keep plucking away. What a result. In that last update I did before that lovely fish that I just caught, I mentioned that I was probably going to wind the zigs in tonight and chuck out just some single bright pop-ups, as that's something I've not done yet and is really good tactic at this time of the year. But having had that fish just now, I'm going to stick with the zigs on all the rods, and I'll quickly just show you what I'm using for my presentation. So as you can see there, I've just got a lovely little black zigger liner and a red piece of foam. Now on the back of that red foam, attached to the actual band on the zigger liner, I've actually flossed on 4 or 5 maggots there. And that just helps in a couple of different reasons. One, a little bit of movement, and two, matching a little bit of natural food that might be out there, or often gets wafted up off the bottom and they're used to just snatching. So that's it. I'm using a size 6 wide gape Amarok hook there, and then 10-pound outline zig and floater line. I absolutely love that stuff. And then to finish it off, just using an XL anti-tangle sleeve, one of our camo ones, onto our leg clips. So I'm going to get that out in the pond now and get the other rods changed over onto exactly the same thing. Well, what a difference a day makes. It was a real hard frost last night and into this morning, and it was pretty cold, but we've just warmed ourselves up with the old Fox cook station, had a nice little bacon sarnie. But yeah, as I said, with that drop in temperature, the fish have moved down into that bowl end where there was less pressure, but there are a few people down there now, so with a bit of luck they might just pressure them and move them back. As I said, the sun is out, and the rods are all sitting out there pretty with the zigs still on them, and if anything does drift in front, hopefully we can nick one to finish off this video. Well, we've sat it out for most of the morning, and it has gone very quiet now. It looks like most of the fish have jogged on down the other end of the lake with that fresh wind. And I think that's probably going to be it for this session. I've really enjoyed it. It has been tough, but for February, can't really grumble at a nice 30-pounder, that nice 26, and not forgetting all that fun I had on Sunday before the cameras turned up, with that lovely ghosty and a couple of double takes. But yeah, I'm going to get these rods wound in now. And if you've liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the Avid Carp YouTube channel, and I will catch you in the next one.